All right, welcome to today's lesson on leadership techniques. So what is a leader, or what is leadership? Leadership is basically the process of inspiring and motivating others or your employees to work hard to accomplish the task that you have set out for them. And in today's business world, there are a number of challenges that present themselves to managers when trying to lead their employees. The first is that more and more time frames are expected to be shorter and shorter and shorter. Work needs to get done yesterday, and this makes it difficult for managers to motivate their employees to work so quick. The secondly is that the expectation now is that we have success on the very first attempt, which again puts a lot more pressure on managers to make sure they get it right the first time. There's less and less opportunity for a second and third try. We also have problems that are more difficult to solve. They're much more complex, much larger, much more ambiguous. There's much more gray area that are involved in many of the problems that we're trying to deal with. And they're often multidimensional, covering a variety of areas all in one. And this obviously makes it difficult to lead your employees to solve these problems that have a variety of impacts and outlooks. And finally, it's very difficult for managers today to take a long-term view of all the problems that are existing while at the same time meeting the short-term demands. It requires a special skill set to do so. The other thing we need to look at is that sometimes leadership can be confused with power. Anyone in a management position has power, but it's how they use that power that determines how well they'll be successful as a leader. Now, there's two different sources of power that a leader can have. One is the power of the position, which is based on things that a manager can offer to others, and the other is the power of the person, which is based on how managers are viewed by others. So when you're working with a power of position, there's three bases that you can have that can affect how you can use that power. The first is called reward. If you're using reward, you're trying to motivate your employees by offering them raises, promotions, and so on. If you do what I ask, I will give you a reward. The other type of position of power you can use is the coercion technique. So in this case, you're trying to give them a penalty. So if they don't do what you say, you will give them a demotion or some sort of fine in their pay, or maybe you'll ultimately fire them. So in other words, if you don't do what I ask, I will punish you. And finally, the third power position you can use is legitimacy. And essentially, this is just basically you have power because you are the boss, right? You can mobilize your employees or motivate your employees because you simply have the power to do so. The other side is the power of the person. So here we've got three bases again: expertise, referent, and relational. When motivating by expertise, it means that you are credible. Your employees view you as a credible source. You have knowledge in a specific area, and therefore they respect you, they respect what you're trying to say and respect what you're doing, and will listen to what you have to say. This works as long as you don't step outside the boundaries of what your knowledge base is. The second one is the referent power. So in this case, people are going to follow you and do as you say because they admire you and respect you as a person. And they want to make sure that they maintain a positive relationship with you because they respect you so much. And so therefore they will do what you ask because they want to maintain that positive relationship. And thirdly, we have the relational base. And this is the idea that you are viewed as one of the team. So people will be motivated and work with you because they want to work well on a team and they want to help reach the goal and the collective goal and do what's collective good for everybody, and you are part of that same collective goal. Now, true leadership should be seen as inspiring others to buy into a vision, as we saw in Simon Sinek's TED Talk in class. This is often accomplished through leading by example. So the traditional way of the boss is sitting on top there, ordering people what to do, doesn't work so much anymore. Now we want a true leader to be leading by example. They're the ones in front. They're the ones pulling. They're the ones working just as hard as everybody else, and then people will be motivated to follow suit. Many successful leaders today share a set of common traits across all those leaders. These are things like having drive, right? They want to work hard. They want to continue to work. They have inspiration, right? They've got a lot of self-confidence. They're creative. They have a high cognitive ability. In other words, they are highly intelligent and are able to interpret information and apply it appropriately. They have a high level of job-relevant knowledge. They're motivated. They're highly flexible so they can adapt to fit the needs of every situation that occurs, and they're viewed as being very honest and have a high level of integrity. There's a couple of dimensions to leadership. So leaders can either be worried about the task or they can be worried about the people. Leaders who have task concerns, these concerns are things like planning and defining who's going to be doing what particular task, assigning those responsibilities, setting clear work standards of what a level of expectations of what we require out of our employees, urges employees to complete those tasks as required, and then monitors their performance results to make sure that those tasks are meeting the standards that we set out earlier. The people concerns is where we're dealing with the people themselves. So here we're worrying about making sure we act as a supportive, warm person for our followers. We have a social rapport that is being developed with them. We respect their feelings. We're trusting them, and so on. Right? It's all about the people. And depending on how you use those leaderships, develops or how much you value those dimensions, determines what kind of leader you are going to be. So for employees that are high in their concern for production down here, but have very low concern for the people themselves, these are considered to be authority obedience managers. So they're emphasizing the work over the people themselves. They're going to try and keep authority over people. They're going to try and hoard all the information and let it out as they need to. And it's a unilateral sort of command and control. I tell you what to do. Conversely, you can have a high level of concern for people, but a low level of concern for production. This is called the country club manager. This particular individual does the human resources style of manager. Right here, they're trying to emphasize people over the task. Right? We figure that the happy employee or a positive culture is going to equal to a hard worker. Okay. Rarely do we see this where we have both a low concern and for production and for people. This is considered to be the impoverished manager or the laissez-faire style. And this is the sort of the employee that sort of will work as hard as they have to work and so they don't get fired. So they don't really care about working hard. They don't really care about the employees. They want you to do the best you can without bothering me sort of attitude. A lot of managers will strive to become both high in production and in people, right? They're concerned for both of those kinds of things. This is considered to be a team manager or a democratic style, right? You're committed to the task and the people, trying to get things done while you're collaborating, working together, encouraging skill development, and so on, okay? A lot of managers are sort of middle of the road where they kind of try and balance all of those different styles. The idea here is that the style you choose can be dependent upon the situation that you're in. So in some situations, it's very beneficial to be a country club manager, and in others, it's very beneficial to be an autocratic style manager, and so on. Now, there's also a variety of leadership techniques. Okay, these the contemporary ones. There's a variety of them. I think there's about 10 of them that we've accepted today. We're going to take a look at the 3 most popular techniques. Right, we're trying to consider the complexity, diversity of tasks, and the dynamic nature of today's organizations. The 3 we're going to look at today are transactional theory, transformational theory, and situational theory. Transactional leadership focuses on attaining specific outcomes. We're going to reward our followers when the objectives are met, and we're going to correct or punish them when they are not met. This is different from the transformational leader, where again we're trying to focus more on the employee. We're trying to focus on their sense of intrinsic motivation. We want to inspire them to work well. Right? It's much more inclusive. Our employees feel much better this way, but it's often less efficient than a transactional leadership style. Finally, we have a situational theory, which is sort of a manager who decides to use both transactional and transformational. Right? The idea here is that I'm trying to use the style as appropriate based on the situation that is presented to us. Okay? Effective use of this theory can allow a leader to be both transactional and transformational. The idea here is that all styles can be effective if you're implemented with proper recognition of the task that we have required in front of us. That's it. That's all we have for time for today. We'll see you in class tomorrow where we can practice what we've learned.